Përshëndetje të dashur televizionistë. Mirë se erdhët në emisionin KosTech Talk. Sonte në emision KosTech Talk kemi kënaqësinë të mirëpresim ambasadorin e Suedis në Kosovë, zotrin Jonas Westerlund. Suedia është njëri nga shtetet e cila është lider në botë për zhvillimin e teknologjisë. Dhe kompani të njohura si Spotify, Ericsson dhe të gjitha këto janë teknologji të cilat kanë krijuar një jetë ndryshe duke pas komunikim më të mirë. Gjatë këtij emisioni do të flasim për përkushtimin e Suedisë dhe edukimin në ICT. Mr. Ambassador, mirë se erdhe.
Thank you for having me here.
It's a pleasure to have you on KosTech Talk and a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Mr. Ambassador, I would like to ask the first question about, for all the audience, ICT audience, about your life, to know a brief introduction about you.
Well, I'm a Swedish diplomat. I've always been very interested since I was very young in history. And my dream was when I was even 6, 7 years of age to work somewhere outside Sweden in the international questions. So this is what I aimed for. I'm very pleased to acknowledge that I'm actually doing that now. So I've been working in many countries. This is in fact the 14th country that I'm settling in. So I've been around the world a few times, and I've also been working in different continents. Maybe for your audience, I remember coming to Singapore in the very late 1980s, and I felt that this was really the future when it comes to high tech back that time. That was a very interesting time, but now things have changed, of course. So,
Mr. Ambassador, I decided to invite you, especially because Swedish as a country is leading in telecommunication, in ICT in general. So what makes Sweden a global leader on ICT, and what can Kosovo learn from your journey?
I think we are a very creative nation. We normally compete with Switzerland each year, winning some of these innovation indexes. Sometimes we are in first place and Switzerland in second place, and then we alternate every other year. Why is that? As always, it's a combination. Right? We are, in our DNA, we are very flexible. We're a small nation. We can change things. That's an advantage of being a small nation. I also believe that the state, the Swedish government, has always been very keen on supporting new ideas and coming in with financial support at very early stages. Thirdly, we put emphasis on education as well, so at a very early stage, and that is key. I mentioned Singapore before, and Singapore is a small island, and they became independent in 1965, and they have no national resources, but they decided back in 1965 to focus on education, and I think they are the most successful nation when it comes to focusing on education and high tech in comparison to Sweden, of course. But so those are the three success stories, I believe, how we can explain Sweden. There are lots of other issues, of course. You need to have capital. Yeah. You need to be able to have startups. We have around 261,000 startups in Sweden. And for that you need to have equity capital. So that's also one part of the success story.
Okay. Kosovo is also a small country, and what can learn Kosovo from your journey? From what can be in your perspective?
Well, I think, as I said before, education is extremely important, early education. But as you go up to the high school level and university level, you will need to focus on the technical curriculum. And today it's all about robotics and AI, I think. So that's important for Kosovo. You need to have a good institutions, regulatory framework as well. It has to be easy to start a company. And then, as I said, you need to have investment. You need to have a number of equity firms that could financially contribute to startups.
When it comes to education, Swedish has invested a lot in education, and especially in the digitalized process. How they have started and how is going this process in Sweden?
I mean, the longer story is that we started already back in the 1880s with focus on technology. And you know, Ericsson is a very old company. In early days, started when it comes to the old telephone and the telephone cables. I remember some pictures from Stockholm in the late 1890s, where you have all these cables in Stockholm in the 1890s. You can still see them here sometimes, but in Stockholm and Sweden we don't have them any longer. But it's I think, given where Kosovo is at the moment, I think it's important that the state need to focus on education, but also to create an environment where you can have startups and investors, so-called angel investors and so-called anchor investors. I think that is key at the moment. I mean, you have a good education here. You have good focus on technology and mathematics and chemistry back in the history of Kosovo, I would say. So I think you are in the forefront in that. So you can turn that from mathematics and chemistry into digital education, AI, robotics.
Are there any collaboration between Kosovo and Sweden in terms of ICT?
There are some. You may know that Ericsson won a bid here in December 2022 and in December 2023. So Ericsson is now supporting Kosovo when it comes to the telecom market here. This is the only country in the world where Ericsson has 100% of the telecom market. It's a small market for Ericsson, but it's still 100%. And the advantage with this is not only that hopefully we'll have good telecom connections in this country, but they have also started a research and development center. I think there are around 30 people there now. I think they're aiming much higher for this. And this is a research development, not necessarily only for Kosovo, but for Ericsson globally. But in the end, it will help Kosovo's ICT sector as well. And then we have also a Swedish IT company, Sigma Technology Group. They have around 1,100 employees. And they started up operations here last year in April, together with a small Kosovo company called AppBytes.
Right.
And they have great plans for the future. And what I like about Sigma Technology Group is as well that they say that of course they need to be profitable. They are a company, a private company, but they also want to focus on helping Kosovo to become an ICT hub. So with Ericsson and Sigma Technology Group here, I think Sweden can try and create some sort of ICT hub, contribute to a Kosovo ICT hub here. And that will certainly help Kosovo.
A Swedish company, they have actually leading, as we said. Is there any exchange between companies from Sweden and Kosovo in order to see what they can help us and how will they fill the gap that we have some, especially for example in education or whatever they need that we have to focus on?
Well, as you said, we are one of the we are at the forefront when it comes to ICT. We are many of the modern apps that we have now around the world are made in Sweden. I think you mentioned Spotify as well. I think that whenever I go to schools in Kosovo, and my first question to the school children will be, how many of you are using Spotify? And most of them will then raise their hands, right? And then I tell them that this is a Swedish innovation, and I think I'm very proud then of my own country. I mean, as I said, we have this collaboration now with the Ericsson and with the Sigma Technology Group. We had a number of Swedish AI companies who visited Kosovo last year upon my invitation, and the Nordic Chamber of Commerce. But more can be done. More can certainly be done on this. I think when we have had some Swedish ICT companies here, and like I said, the AI companies last year, there's been a discussion how Sweden and Kosovo can work to mimic, to copy some of these networks that we have in Sweden between public and private partnerships. And also private investors. I think that's really important to create that environment, and maybe we can borrow some ideas from Sweden.
Sometimes I think myself that is any way how the education system can import it from the Swedish education system, because as Swedish, as a small country as we are, can we somehow fit it? Let's say the mentality and everything from the Swedish education system.
There are cooperation between one Swedish university called Linnaeus University, placed in Växjö in southeast Sweden. They have a collaboration now with a number of universities in Kosovo, including the Pristina University. They are also working with the Sigma Technology Group, which I mentioned earlier. So Sigma, Linnaeus University, together with some state institutions here in Pristina, is working on establishing a national research school in ICT, and to have a PhD program for that. So there are efforts being made. This is still in the very beginning to establish this national research school for this, but that's one example. But I still believe that more can be done also when it comes to exchange students. We have a Swedish alumni network for Kosovars who have studied in Sweden. But I think more can be done that as well.
Mr. Ambassador, I would like to continue with the question about the cybersecurity issue and threat that, especially Sweden, is very, very, close to the not very friendly neighbors. So the future is a cybersecurity issue. How Sweden is protected from this threat?
During the Cold War, you may remember that Sweden was a neutral country. And for that reason, we developed our own defense industry. And for that reason, we had our own technology. And that's why we're quite advanced as well. So after the Cold War and in today's world, we're quite advanced when it comes to cybersecurity, and working quite closely with the Americans on cybersecurity. We have had several challenges with this. Even though we are perhaps best in the world, we still have some challenges when we have cyber attacks against our state agencies. I just read in the news that I think there was the municipality in Tirana that was attacked just a few days ago. So this is a challenge in the world. We have, of course, a cyber strategy on this. So we have focused on this on a very early stage. As you know, we are now a NATO member as well. So we are working quite closely with the NATO members on this. working quite closely with the NATO Cyber Institute in the Baltic states as well.
You probably have heard about that in Kosovo. They are investing in the cyber. Probably you will help us in this context, because we need it, and no country like Sweden can help us in this context.
There has been. I've been facilitating some business opportunities between Swedish cybersecurity companies and some cybersecurity companies in Kosovo. It has yet to come to an agreement yet, I believe, but yes. So that is happening.
Mr. Ambassador, I would like also to see what's the university in Swedish university's role in shaping the ICT education. Can Kosovo build similar structures?
Well, I think we like very much to work between the public-private partnerships, but in the triangle there you also have the universities. So we focus quite a lot on having that cooperation between private businesses, public state agencies, and public universities. And one example would be that we would create some sort of project or even a company together with this triangle, right? Mm-hmm. And that sort of trilateral actor company will then support initiatives like that. Let me take one example. For example, we have a state agency called Vinnova, which is a state agency focused on innovation. We also have quite a unique company which was fairly recently started called SumInvest. It's a risk capitalist state company, which is quite unusual that the state would actually start a risk capitalist company. But they are there to be to use these buzzwords again, angel investors and in particular anchor investors. An anchor investor, as you may know, means that you in a very early stage come in quite heavily in the company, showing interest in this company, and there you will have other investors coming in, seeing that you have a state agency putting in money. So that's important. But yes, universities. I think universities nowadays are not only a place where you have students. It's also a sort of research unit that could work together with companies.
We have a lot of innovation academies in Kosovo. I have had the opportunity to visit them and to invite in the show, and they are very good on educating in ICT students. How do you see this approach from Kosovo part?
What can I say? It's excellent. Of course, it's very good to have that as well. You need to have volume as well, right? So you need to have a large number of students in order to have a larger impact, right? Because let's not ignore the fact that you also have people leaving Kosovo for ICT jobs in the European Union, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Sweden also have people leaving for the US or somewhere else in the world, China as well, right? But you also have that. So it's important to also keep your expertise here, and that's why you need to have volume. But that's absolutely excellent.
Yeah, we have the youngest population in Kosovo, and we are promoting this, and we see a lot of potential on that. How many let's say companies, do you have any number that they required services from our companies, like outsourcing their services in Kosovo? Do you have any number?
Well, we still have a small number of Swedish companies operating in Kosovo. I don't want to mention a figure.
I don't want to. I wanted. My question is about how many companies want services from outsourcing from our companies? Do you have any number that we provide from Kosovo, some solution or some job from here?
Oh, I don't have that number, I'm afraid. I
You-
don't have that
no,
number, but
okay.
I'm afraid it's still quite low, right? So
Because we
there's-
have a lot of companies that we provide services in Germany, for example, for
Right.
big companies, for Mercedes or in Switzerland or some other country in America, for example, like Speaks. We have that provide call center for Swiss Telecom and such
Right.
services.
Right. No, we have, I think, well, you and your viewers would know this, that you have the Kosovo-Albanian diaspora very early in Switzerland and Germany and Austria, and that's perhaps why you have more of a history of cooperation with those countries. I think we have around 65,000 Kosovo-Albanians in Sweden now, and that is an important link when it comes to the business sector as well. But I still believe that the trade between Kosovo and, let's say, Switzerland is still much more advanced.
In the end, Mr. Ambassador, I would like to ask you about you have traveled in Kosovo and you see what's your perception about the Kosovo in general? I mean, the culture of working, culture of studying. Can you give us some, perception from your side?
Well, I'm sure you know that I was here in the late 90s after the war and in the year 2000. I think it was quite extraordinary to come back to Pristina. It was difficult to find my way around in Pristina because of all the sky rises here, right? So it's definitely been an excellent development, I must say. Then that's more in the political field, of course, but when you go to some other municipalities like North Mitrovica, there was no, it was the same buildings. So it was difficult to find any new buildings in North Mitrovica, even though there are a few, but very, very, very few. I'm a keen hiker, so Kosovo is an excellent place to do hiking. You have a young population. I think you have a very good education system. You may know that the Finnish school won an award a few days ago, being one of the 10 best schools when it comes to the environmental sector, and that's a sign of that Kosovo is an upcoming country as well. But as always, there are more things that could be developed. I think. Sometimes it's an advantage of being a small nation as well, because you can jump over one stage. I think you could focus more on being a smart city. Pristina could be a smart city and develop the concept of being smart cities. That you can utilize a digital world to have apartment blocks that could measure. Can have solar panels. And you can measure how much energy you will get from the solar panels. You can have systems that will check the quality of the water and can also check leakage of water. I myself have had some problems with water for the past evenings, but if you have a digital app or a digital system on checking the water and the water quality, that will be excellent. In Sweden we have a bank ID, so I can just use my mobile phone and sign my tax revenues. I can buy and sell stocks. I have an e-health app, so I can make an appointment with a doctor through an app. I think Kosovo, perhaps more than some other countries in this part of Europe, could jump directly to these apps instead of going to online appointments.
Especially recently we have integrated some new, let's say, services in Kosovo, and which are helping a lot our population. It's need to be done much more, and especially in this e-health we call, and but it will come, and I am sure that Kosovo is doing very good, especially because we are good. As you, Mr. Ambassador, said that we can jump directly to the newest, and we can copy the services that you provide, and it's easier. So yeah.
Sometimes I get up early in the morning and leave at 7 o'clock in the morning. I sometimes pass the Pristina hospital, right? And you see all the people coming there in the morning. Some of them, I assume, are coming for medical emergencies, right? But I also assume that some are coming there just to make an appointment.
Yeah.
If you have an e-health app, you don't need. You can sit at home and just, and it's going to be much more efficient, not only for the families, but also for the doctors and the whole medical machinery.
Yeah, I think also they have different fields that they need to improve in just system. They also have a lot of jump, especially in this building. Right. The crowd is very, very high, especially for something that, as you said, for small services. So it's a need for digitalization process. Yeah.
I mean, nowadays in Sweden, you can use the Skype or the Zoom talk and have a talk with your doctor, right?
Yeah.
And that means that the doctor might identify that this is just a cold or a fever. You don't need to come into the hospital.
Yeah.
Or the doctor may say that, no, this is serious, you need to come in for appointment. That will mean that you can disregard some of the people coming into the hospital and more focus on quality of the people there. Right? So a lot of advantages for the ordinary citizen as well.
Especially now, Mr. Ambassador, with IoT, Internet of Things.
Yes.
There are a lot of, as you said, for example, if you have blood pressure or some for sugar in blood, you don't need to go every day or every a week to the doctor. They can measure your and they can transmit it through the internet.
Right, exactly. No, you're
right.
And
this is the kind of things that they can improve the life of the citizens. So also they can remove this kind of crowd in every,
you're right. That's a good example as well. Good example.
So there are a lot that need to be improved also in Kosovo. So, okay, Mr. Ambassador, I would like in the end of the interview to ask about any advice, suggestions to the youth, because this show also is watching from the students, and can you give them advice, suggestions?
Well, if you're interested in mathematics and in programming, I should say that you should go for it. Focus on AI and robotics. I think you will have a great career. You should study here. You should not turn away from disregard to go to university abroad for one or 2 years, but then of course you should come back and work here as well. And then you can work in Kosovo for a number of years, and then you can work abroad for a number of years, but you will go back and forth, and you will support your own country by working in not only in Kosovo, but going back and forth, and by doing so you will help Kosovo and yourself. So I think you will have a great future if you focus on that.
Mr. Ambassador, thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Good, thank you so much.
Të dashur televizionistë, ju faleminderit. Kjo ishte intervista me ambasadorin e Suedisë në Kosovë. Ju faleminderit për vëmendjen. Miru takofshim në emisionin e radhës.